What up, y'all? It's Cliff. What's happening? Hey, I was gonna just tell y'all a little bit about how, man, when you're in prison, they gonna come a time when you got to stand on your own too, and you can't fold with the pressure. Cause what I'm getting at is I was in a class one time, and there was a bunch of it was like 35 people in this class, and well, the teacher liked me, and so wouldn't even go in to be in the room. She would be like, "Here, read this lesson out of this book, and then give them a quiz." I was like, "Cool." So I'd give them, we'd do a little thing. But for some reason, I don't know what happened, but about 15 or 20 of them guys decided that they didn't like the new teacher. So one day we get ready for class, and they all said, "Hey, man, we done. We boycotting this class." And I could see people's like some of the dudes that I knew was in there that I had talked to that was like me, that was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna get this class and get the hell out of here, and get on home." And I could see it in their eyes when these dudes said, "Listen, we telling her today that we ain't doing no more work, we ain't doing nothing, we ain't coming, it's over, we boycotting it until she's fired." They said, "And if you ain't with us, then you raise your mother hand right now." Man, I took one deep breath and I said, "Listen, man, I can't do it." And the guy was like, "You know what? I respect that, Cliff. I respect the fact that you got enough nerve to raise your hand and say, stand on what you believe." He said, "That's cool. We everybody but Cliff. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. I could see three or four more in their eyes that wanted to do the same thing, but they wouldn't. They didn't want to look weak or nothing like that." And I told them guys, I said, "Look, man, y'all do what y'all want. I'm out. I got a plan, bro. I'm going home. I'm a short timer. I don't have 30 or 40 years. You know what I mean? Like, I got a plan. I'm gonna get the hell out, get this, and get on out of here." And they actually respected me just for the fact that I was willing, because I mean, basically they big boyed a bunch of people. They would told them, "Hey, you gonna do this," you know, and a lot of people, got scared. And I ain't gonna lie, like I said, I took a breath because I knew when I raised my hand, I didn't know what was fixing to come after it. I didn't know if they was gonna clutch me out. I didn't know, if they was gonna, run me up out of the dorm or something. You know what I mean? Like, you never know in prison, man, what's going to happen like that, especially when you go against the grain. But the fact that I did, and I wasn't rude. I wasn't no, I wasn't no way. I just told them. I said, "Hey, man, look, whatever y'all got to do, man, listen, y'all do it. I ain't. I will not be in y'all's way one bit." I said, "But I can't do it. Like, I got a plan, dog, and they respected that. The fact that I was just honest with them, and then hell, it wasn't 3 hours later they didn't give up on it anyway. So now there's that also goes to show you how you can get yourself jammed up by fooling with people. See, early that morning they was all fired up, gonna boycott it. Now had she come in there and I said that I was gonna do it with them, well, then 3 hours later, when they change their mind, now guess what? I'm right in the mix with, I'm on the shit list too, Um, so yeah, just man, I know it's you don't want to be the odd man out in prison or whatever, like you don't want to look weak or cool. Man, let me tell you something. Doing what's best for you to get home to your family, to get out of that place, period, man. Doing what's best for you, if anybody's got a problem with that, then they just have to have a problem with that. Like, because, you can't do your time for somebody else, like you can't, you got to do what you got to do. I'll never forget, man, this dude, he always sticks with me. he was in a seg cell, man, and my bed was right next to it. Man, that dude stayed up all night long in there. He was in solitary, you know. And man, he would stay up all night long just making all kind of, I mean, talking and stuff. And, every now and then I'd be like, hey, man, shut, you know. And he'd be like, all right, my bad, my bad. But one night he was in there going off on something. And, he said, my mama told me, last thing my mama told me before I came down here, she said, come back home the way you went down there. And it took me a while to figure that out. And, but that's the truth, man. You know, um, and you gain respect, man. If a lot of people are followers, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. Not everybody's meant to lead, and a lot of times, people will do that. They'll say things because they'll know that people's gonna follow, you know, and sometimes you just gotta say, no, that ain't what I'm not, because if you always keep saying yes to stuff like that, peer pressure, then as soon as you get out, you're gonna give in to something very quick. I mean, like a woman used to say in prison, though, if you can't do right in here, then you're not gonna do right out there. I mean, that's the God's honest truth, y'all. I remember telling myself one time, I was like, man, all right, I got a 10-year sentence. I'm ain't nothing I can do about it. Ain't nothing nobody. My daddy can't change it. My mama, ain't nothing nobody can do to change this. I got to just do this time, you know. And I told myself one day, I was like, you know what, man, I'm supposed to be the best damn prisoner I can be. I'm just going, and I did. I applied myself, y'all. When I got in them classes, like I opened up, man. I'll tell y'all something. I gave my testimony. We all had to. Um, at the end of that 8 week SAP class, they make everybody give their testimony, which is your life story, And I got up one day and did mine, and y'all, I promise you, there was 40 of us in there, and um, I told the story about what happened with my mom and all that, and man, they was stone cold killers, y'all. When I got done telling my testimony, everybody at the table was crying. I'm talking about stone cold killers, man. Um, Aryan Brotherhood, Bloods. I mean, man, I had people coming up and hugging me and stuff. Like, um, it was that was wild, man, to see people like that. I mean, the toughest of the toughest, man. Crying, sitting there listening to me tell that story, man. I'm sitting there looking at them and they bawling. You know, some of them get up and probably beat up anybody. You know what I mean? Whoop anybody in the camp, and they down there, and but it's you just got to learn to, you know, what I'm getting at is they ain't always gonna be nobody there to help you, man. Sometimes you just gotta trust yourself and just know that, like I mean, you in the fire. I mean, you can't stop now. You know what I mean? Like you got to go. You got to keep going, keep pushing. You know, like Horton used to say, chin up, keep pushing. I still say that to this day, man. But yeah, I just if y'all got people or friends or especially young men are easily influenced. Just like I said, there was a couple of them little dudes in there that I knew them well. We were friends, and they wanted to stick their hand up too, but they wouldn't do it because they was afraid they'd look, it wouldn't be cool or whatever. Shit, I told them straight up, I can't get down like that. I got a plan, y'all, and I was expecting to, you know what I mean. I was expecting to get, have to get beat up and fight or something, like, and the dude went to jump all over me, and then before he even said anything, he just stopped, and he's like, you know what? I respect that. I guess he was the leader. He was an old school dude. He had done 30 years, and I'll tell you what, y'all. This was amazing. It was a breakthrough. There was a there was a black man in there, and he was about 27 or 28 years old, and he had like a 40-year sentence, man. Yeah, I felt he had a long time, and he was angry at the system, and he hated white people because basically the system is white people, you know. So like, uh, he was in that little class, and I would teach it. And man, when we first started out, it was an 8 week class. When we first started out, like, man, every day when I would, go through the lesson or whatever, like, man, he would argue, or like not argue, but like he would contradict me and stuff, and he was real combative and stuff, and I just let him, like I knew that it wasn't. I knew he was angry, I knew he was hurt, like um. So I just let him do his thing, I let him, say what he had to say and all that. I didn't never, like try to embarrass. I didn't say. I just let him do what he did. But I kept on, man, and I kept on, and I kept on. And by the end of that 8 week course, man, this dude was in there talking, and me and him was like, he was interacting in a most positive way. That I mean, seriously, like, went from hating me just because of who I was, to I mean, like, I remember one day I'd been out there working out, and I was sitting on my rack, and I was I was flexing my bicep to see if it was getting, how it is. You want to see if you're getting swole up. So I was sitting there on my rack, and I was flexing my bicep, and dude come in the thing. Dude never spoke to me. He was in the same door, slept right just a couple racks down. Never spoke a word to me except for in that class. And like I said, most of it he was, angry, and he was lashing out at me. And and then one day, he comes by the rack, and he was like, I see you boy over there trying to flex. I see you flexing that muscle. And man, after that, dude, it was like we was best friends, you know. But had I went at him and tried to argue with him, and or outsmart him or something like that, it would have never went that way. I just let the man get what he had off his chest, and I just let him see that, hey man, look here, no matter what you do or say, I'm still gonna be right here. And if you need help, I got you, man. If you want to, ask me anything, my ears are always open. And you know, you earn people's respect in there, man. You that for real. That's the way it is. And man, once you earn people's respect, man, I remember when I first got there, I didn't know what was going on. People were hollering, it's Black History Month. We whooping white boys, like I was like, oh shit, what have I done got in? Um, the broom situation and all that. That's on the second night, but within just a few months, people's like, oh, that's Cliff, man, that's Cliff. He's straight. Like they knew. Like I mean, uh, I didn't. And it's all about how you carry yourself. Like if you go around begging for dope and stuff, that's the way they're gonna treat you. That's the way they're gonna talk about you. You know. Um, but if you take care, if you don't run up your debts and stuff, and you handle yourself like a man, keep your word, you know, people respect you. And once you get that respect, man, and then like a group of people see it, like they might be a whole group of people that don't even really like you or whatever, but they see one certain person that speak up and be like, "Hey, what up, Cliff? How you doing, man?" That changes the whole game because now they like, well, hell, if Big Dog likes him, then ain't no need for me not liking him. What up, Cliff? Then it's just um and man, I remember I used to just walk around the thing adventurous and um there was certain people that I just didn't say nothing to because some people in prison you just let you best just stay away from them. But I remember walking the track, man, and it was just all day long, like, hey, what up, Cliff? What up, yo? And it just be some random dude in another dorm, Um, but once your name gets out there in the camp, and people know that you ain't with certain stuff and that, you know, like um I had people that would I had a neighbor one time and he was all into the smoking that brown clown and stuff, smoking that spice or whatever. And I remember this one black dude, he used to come over there and say, hook him up, sell it to him, whatever. And man, he respected me enough that he would say, "Hey, Cliff, hey man, go catch you a cigarette for a minute." And I knew exactly what he meant. And I didn't even ask no questions. I'd lean up, throw my shoes on, and I'd go out. I'd go to the other side of the dorm, whatever, burn a cigarette or something. And he would do his thing. And what it was is he didn't want me getting jammed up on the business that him and the other dude had going because he knew that I was doing right. And so he would just be like, "Hey man, you go on, mind if you don't mind, catch a go, hit a lap or something. All right, I got you, because I knew what he was doing too. And so I'd be like, yeah, all right, man. And I appreciated that because man, you get jammed up so easy in there on stuff that you ain't got nothing to do with. But um, anyway, man, sometimes you just gotta trust in yourself. You gotta trust in God first, man. And then you got to have a little in prison. You can't just rely 100% on. Sometimes you got to trust yourself. Um, and just sometimes you'll see that the outcome is not what you thought it was going to be. There's an old saying, and I'll finish the video with this, and y'all can think about this. I learned this saying in prison. I read it in a book. Fear makes the wolf seem bigger than he is. And that's the God's honest truth, man. For real. All right, then, y'all.